Hello, everyone. So we are back with the next session on advanced business communication. Now, in advanced business communication, we have been discussing about how non-verbal communication makes 55% of your message which you are communicating with other person. Now, whenever we are communicating, our words, spoken words, written words, those compose only 45% of the message which you are trying to convey. Rest 55% of the message is conveyed using your non-verbal communication. If we talk about non-verbal communication, one we discussed was the kinesis. Kinesics was the your facial expressions, your gestures, your postures, your clothes, your eye contact, and the silence. We think that how being silent can communicate, but yes, it do communicate. Let's say you are sitting in the meeting and a discussion is going on. In that place, if you are being quiet, you are not responding whether it's in favor or against, your silence is taken as a strong agreement towards whatever decision is being taken. If you want to say no, you need to speak. You cannot just assume that, okay, seeing your face, you're just sitting quiet, that means it is a no. No. People will take that to be a yes. That's how we say that silence also speaks. When we were discussing about conflict resolution, there we discussed that some people stay quiet, but their silence speaks that they are angry. They show that thing with their gestures, with their postures, with their body movements, with their silence, with all those things, we get to know that the other person is angry. We are into an argument still. Though he is not speaking anything, but still there is some argument, there is some conflict between those two individuals. So it is not always necessary that we explain our meaning, we convey our meaning using the words only. Many times our words do not speak what our gestures, what our facial expressions, what our postures, what our body language, our dressing style speaks. Just think you are at home and you just see two people, two of your friends coming from different places. One is dressed up in a very formal way. What you're going to think? You wait for him to say that, okay, I'm coming back from the office. I was into a meeting. No, seeing his dress up, you can immediately say that, okay, he might be busy with some of their professional work. A person who is wearing very shining clothes, seeing him, we can immediately say that, yes, he's a person who just came from a party. So that is how our dress up, our attire, help us to decide what the other person is trying to convey or from where he is coming. So that is why we say that we need to have control over our body language. Many times our words may lie, but our body language is never going to support those words. The non-verbal communication is the best communication which helps you to understand the mind of other person. And that is what we are struggling nowadays. Since this pandemic started, everything was virtual, meetings were virtual, everyone was connected over phones or even on calls, but those used to be not the video call, those used to be the voice calls. So here we are unable to understand that a person is presenting. I do not know whether they are listening to me or not. Are they understanding anything or not? Are they a good listener or not? So we are struggling with these problems because till now we have been noticing the people, we have been knowing their body language, and then we have been deciding that whether the person is understanding, whether he's going to come up with a suggestion, he's listening to us properly or not, and that thing is missing. So today we are going to talk about the second type of non-verbal communication, and that is body language. Sitting in the interview, leaning on the chair. Is it a good body language? No. Sitting in the group discussion and just playing with the fingers, playing with the hair. Is it a good body language? No. So body language stands for the way the body communicates without words through the movement of its part. Your body, it communicates without using the words. It communicates its message by the way the body is moving, by the way the body is speaking. Let's say you all are you all were sitting in a discussion, and all of a sudden the person stands and he's just moving out of the hall. What do you understand by his body language? Maybe he's not interested in the discussion, so he just preferred moving out. Let's say you had an argument with that person. Maybe he didn't like that argument. He's angry. He simply left the room. So that is how the person didn't tell you anything. You know, the person didn't came and told you that, okay, you have spoken this way, that's why I'm leaving. No, he didn't say anything, but his body language gave you the entire context of what was running in his mind. We're not speaking. Something's happening, we just nod our head. It is the body language we are using, isn't it? We're just saying yes. We're not using the words to say the yes. We are using our head to say yes. We are nodding our head to say no. We are raising our hand that we want the chance. We are showing thumbs up. So this is how we are not using the words to explain us, but we are using our body language, the parts of our body, to communicate with other person. The nodding of our head, blinking of our eyes, waving of our hand, shrugging of our shoulders are expressions of our thoughts and feelings. Just to check whether the person is paying attention, he is listening to you or not. If he just nod his head, you get to know that yes, he was listening to you. A person who just came or who is just going out, he just wave hand, that means he's saying hi or bye to you. So these are the basic, some of the expressions which we use to communicate our thoughts and feelings without using the words. Here we are not taking the support of the words to convey our message. We are just taking the support of our body language to convey us, to deliver our message, to send our message. All these movements are the signs that our body sends out to communicate. So these are the signs. When we don't want to speak, we use this body language, we use the sign language to send the message, to communicate with other person. Just as language uses set of symbols to convey meaning, our body consciously as well as unconsciously convey messages, attitudes, moods, status, relationship, etc. You know, our body uses set of symbols to convey the meaning, right? The different symbols, different languages, our body, set of symbols our body is using. That set of symbols can be consciously or unconsciously, just because you're saying something or you're thinking something that is being shown in your body language. So that can be with your, that can be done with your conscious mind, and that can also be done with your subconscious mind. So just as language uses set of symbols to convey meaning, our body consciously as well as unconsciously convey messages, attitude, mood, status, relationship, etc. It has been observed that we may play fast and loose with words, but our body speaks out the truth. You can play with your words, you can manipulate your words, but you cannot play with your non-verbal communication, which means with your body language. You cannot play with your body language. Many times it has been observed that people try to say something else, but their body language told the truth. So this is all about body language. Now, if I talk about body language, how to read body language. What are the ways by which you can read the body language? The first is, can you see two persons sitting right in front of you? One person has put his hand on the lap and second person has folded the hand. It says, Second person is having a closed posture. He is not at all interested in whatever is going around him. He do not want to listen, but the other person is simply enjoying the things around. So that is the body language of disengaged and disinterested or unhappy person. So this is the body language of a happy, interested person. That is the image which you can see towards your left. The person who is smiling has put his hand down. This is the image of a happy, interested, engaged person. And on the other hand, the other person who has folded his arm arms, it is the image of disinterested, unhappy person. Arms folded in front of the body, minimal or tensed facial expression, body turned away from you, eye downcast, maintaining little contact. These are few of the body language which shows that the person is not at all interested in whatever is happening around him. You know, being a speaker, you should also understand the body language of other persons. Speaker is not a person who only speaks, but speaker is a person who understands the body language also. Now, whenever you see a person with closed arm, whenever you see a person with folded arm, tensed face, body moving away, or is not maintaining eye contact, you can simply understand that he is a disengaged and disinterested person in the topic, whichever is going on. Second, body language of a bored audience. What can you observe in this picture? Looking down, looking at the time, looking at the watch, just taking the notebook, writing anything. So what do you understand by seeing these four pictures? Is the person happy with whatever is going around him? He is feeling interested. What do you feel? No. The person is not at all happy. You, the person is feeling very bored. He just want to get out from there. He just is watching that when the time will end and when I'm going to leave that place and I'm going to go. Sitting slumped with head downcast. Slumped means holding your eyes, sitting as if, my God, where I am stuck. That happens with most of us. You know, in colleges, in the school years, whenever we used to sit in any kind of workshops or in any kind of training seminars, we just used to sit in this way. We just used to wait when this training program is going to get over. Gazing at something else or into space. Now, what you're doing, you are gazing, you're looking here and there. In the second picture from down, the first picture from the last line that you can see, the person is just looking up, holding the arms, is just looking up. So he's just gazing at something else or into the space, is just trying to pass the day. Fidgeting, picking at clothes or fiddling with pen or phone, just playing with the phone, writing or doodling. So these are all the ways, these are all the body languages which shows that you have a bored audience. Your audience is really very bored and just either sum up everything or give them a break. That is what is required when you see these type of audience. You know, why do we say why it is important to know the body language? Because see, as a speaker, you are conveying something, you are talking, you are presenting something. But if audience is not happy, if the audience is not willing to do that thing, if is not willing to listen to you, do you think you can create a difference? No. So make sure you just look at this body language. Now, body language for a good first impression. What kind of body language should you have? There are 4 body language. Just see all those 4 body language and tell me which body language is good for the first impression. What do you think? So here, in these 5 things, if you see the pictures on the right side, you'll see a smiling face, proper eye contact. That is a good first impression. That is the body language which a person should have. But if you see the pics on left hand side, the angry face, confused mind, those are not the good body language. Have an open posture. Open posture means do not close yourself. Do not make a boundary around yourself. Have a closed posture, relaxed arm, chin should be up, your shoulders should be relaxed. You should stand straight in a proper posture. That is an open posture. Have an open posture. Use a firm handshake. Whenever you're shaking a hand, it should not look like as if you are very dull. You are so dull that you even do not have the energy to shake the hand. No, if you are really shaking the hand, go for a firm handshake. Maintain good eye contact and avoid touching your face again and again. Your face is perfect. You do not have to touch your face again and again. You do not have to look at your face again and again. So have an open posture, use a firm handshake, maintain good eye contact with the person and avoid touching your face. These are the few of the things by which you can create a good first impression. Next. Now, what is virtual body language? When things are going virtual, when people are working virtually, there is some virtual body language which is used. And what is that? So virtual body language is get your camera set up right. Okay, just look at me. Let's say I have placed my camera here and I'm just looking up and talking to you. Is it the right way? You know what people will see? Looking at me, the people will feel that why she is looking up. They do not know that I'm looking up because my screen is up. They do not know this thing. So make sure you adjust your camera right. You adjust your camera in such a way that is exactly in front of you. Set your camera, get your camera set up right. Like this. So what will happen? People are looking here and I'm looking here. Not the right way. Adjust your camera. Tidy your workplace or find a quiet area for your video call. Now, these are the etiquettes and these are the body language which you have to maintain when you are going for a virtual meeting, right? Like in virtual meeting, what all things are considered? Make sure you have a clear workplace. Workplace, tidy workplace as in you are sitting in front and at the back you see things, many things. Let's say you have many bottles kept next to at the back of you. You have some untidy clothes kept there. No, make sure you have a plain background. And if you don't have a plain background, see, in virtual body, we have the option of setting the virtual background. Go for the virtual background, but make sure you have a plain background at the back. Do not keep the place untidy when you are attending the call. And find a quiet area for your video call. Make sure there is no disturbance which is affecting you. No noises are coming from around. It should be a quiet place because it's the video call on which you are going. And for that, it is important to have a quiet, better, tidy, and a peaceful place where there is no distraction. maintain eye contact even if you are on the video call. That's why for that purpose, when you have to maintain the eye contact, for that purpose, I told adjust your camera, set your camera right. Because see, if you have the camera over here, so see, I'm looking this way. So can I maintain the eye contact? No, I won't be able to maintain the eye contact. So make sure you adjust the camera properly so that you do not find any difficulty in maintaining the eye contact. Use facial expression. And what next you have to do is you have to use your facial expressions. Smile, give reactions, nod your head, have an open posture. So see, when we are talking about the virtual meeting, let's talk about the virtual interview. Even if you're going for virtual interview, make sure the camera is adjusted in such a way that half of your body is visible, so that your hand gestures, your face, your expression, your body movements, all the things are visible to other person. So that is for virtual body language. These are the things you have to keep in mind. Now the third type of non-verbal communication is paralanguage. Paralanguage means like language, but not actually language. It is similar to language, but it is not the actual language which you are using to communicate. So that means similar to language means it is a mode of communication, but it is not communicated using the words. You're not using the words. So paralanguage helps to express and reflect the speaker's attitude. Yes, definitely when we're talking about the paralanguage, it will help you to express and reflect the speaker's attitude. It depends on voice, intonation, pitch, pause, volume, stress, gestures, signals. Oh my God, all of a sudden, the person is just saying something and all of a sudden you hear, look at that thing. It grabs your attention. What you did, you suddenly raised your voice and everyone, maybe the people who were distracted, they started looking at you. But what happened? That is the power of using this paralanguage. Voice. Different situation, different places have the different use of voice. Let's say we are sitting in the office. We use the soft voice, but if there is any debate, if there is any argument, if there is any discussion, we just raise our voice. Right? Intonation means the slowing down, making your voice loud, just normal. So that is the use of intonations. So basically, if we are talking about intonations, like whenever we are speaking, knowingly or unknowingly, we use intonation. Intonation basically means suddenly was going on and suddenly it is coming down, and that is the use of intonation. When we want to be an attractive speaker, or even when you are addressing a people, you have to use the pitch of sound. You have to raise your voice. You have to lower down your voice. You have to use the intonation to make the things interesting. If the things are going with the same volume, same thing, it is not going to create any difference. Pitch. The quality of your sound. The degree of highness and lowness of your sound. Pauses. If you're saying something, when you need to take a pause, when the pause should be long, when the pause should be short. There is importance of using all these things. When you're using all these things, these paralanguage helps you to grab the attention of the audience. All of a sudden, increase the volume. People will look at you, what happened? Why you have raised your voice all of a sudden? Everything okay or something happened? We do not know. You're speaking, and suddenly you stop. People will again notice what happened. You were continuously speaking, all of a sudden you took a pause. Why? So these things, voice, intonation, pitch, pause, volume, stress, gestures, and signals, these are the types of paralanguage which looks like language, but they are not exactly the language which we use to communicate. One can convey enthusiasm, confidence, anxiety, and the speaker's mental state and temperament. By these things, you get to know all these things. A person with having an anger will always raise his voice, or else he's going to be very quiet. A person who is into the argument, he will raise his voice. A speaker wants to grab the attention, he will use intonations, pauses, volumes, stressing on some word. Let's say the speech is going on, and in between the speech, there are some words on which you need to put special emphasis. So for that, what you're going to do, you're going to put stress to that word. Let's say, we all know that it is the time of festivals, and I know you all want to celebrate the festivals. So what if the company gives you an extra day off? Yes, you are absolutely right. I'm talking about getting in one extra day off. So don't you think, what did I do? I changed my sound many times. I gave stress on particular word. I used my gestures. I gave pause when it was required. Like when I saw, you want a day off? Yes, you're absolutely right that we are giving a day off. Our company is giving a day off. So I took the pause and then I continued. So what happened when we take a pause? People attention is immediately diverted to what is coming next. And it helps us to communicate the important message to the person immediately. It is non-verbal because it does not consist of words. Yes, it is a non-verbal form of communication because it does not consist of word. It consists of the tone which you are using when you are speaking, and that is why it is said that people have to use the right tone when they are working. People have to use the right tone when they are talking to each other, because your tone, your accent speaks a lot. Now, what are the different types of paralanguage? The first is the voice. Voice is the first signal that we receive or use. Yes. If we talk about the paralanguages, then yes, voice is the first signal which we get, which we receive from the people, and which we use in common. Voice is something, every time whenever we are talking, so we use the voice. We send the signal using our voice only. A good listener can gauge a lot from the voice itself. A person can understand a lot of things. He can understand whether you are speaking that thing in a happy mood, whether you are angry, whether you are being forced to speak up that thing, whether you are being forced to come up with that solution. So a person's voice can convey a lot of meanings, can say a lot of things. A voice can be sweet, soft, musical, cultivated, pleasant, nasty, clear, indistinct, among other things. Can be anything. Some have very soothing voice. We just love to hear that voice. And some voice is very hard. We do not want to hear that voice from them. So that is how voice, every person's voice is different. There are different sounds, different voices, which we hear from different people. People do not have the same level of voice, same type of voice. People have different types of voices. The voice can help reveal a speaker's background, mental state, education, and temperament. All these things we can know easily by the voice of the person. So the first paralanguage which people use is voice. Second is intonations. High, low, high, low, high, low. High is just for a few seconds. Okay, we do not say entire thing into high pitch. Okay, we just raise our voice for one or two sentences or one or two words. So that is high pitch, low pitch. So intonation is the modulation of the voice and the shift in stress. So basically, it is the voice modulation which you're doing. You're changing your voice, you're increasing your voice, you're decreasing your voice, and you are shifting the stress from one word to another. So this is the use of intonations. Intonations is a part of effective communication. Yes, whenever you want to communicate effectively, you have to understand intonation. The use of intonation is very important. For example, a message with a serious content should not be delivered in a high tone, but in a somber tone. So depending upon the message what we are sharing, things matter. Let's say you are somewhere at a very serious situation, things are not going good over there. So at that point of time, how you are going to communicate? Are you going to shout? No, you are going to just use a somber tone, a normal tone to communicate with other person. What is the pitch? Pitch is again low pitch or the high pitch. Pitch is the vocal slant of the voice. It is basically the vocal slant. It is basically how we are speaking, how sound, normal sound. It reveals the speaker's frame of mind, and an unusually high pitch may reflect agitation. We do not like the sound which is unnecessarily high, which is, without any reason, the sound is getting high, high, high. We do not like that. An unchanging pitch may be boring and okay. Look at me. Pitch is the vocal slant of the voice. It is something which we have to use. If I use the same pitch for the entire 40 minutes, don't you think you are going to be bored? You need some upward, downward, low pitch, high pitch, taking pauses, giving the stress. So that is required. Same pitch, unchanging pitch is very boring and monotonous and decreasing the listener's span of attention. It is definitely going to decrease the listener's span of attention. So you have to make sure that the pitch which you are using, sometimes it is high and sometimes it is low. You are just creating some difference. You're just not using the same pitch for a longer duration. The pitch may also help us understand the speaker's social position. Now, what social position? Let's say a person who is the president, he may use his higher pitch. The person who is just the member of that committee will use the lower pitch. So this pitch also help us to understand the social status, social position, the power a person holds. The next one is pause button. Stop. Speak again. So pause emphasize a message. Whenever you want to speak something really very important, it is important to use this pause and emphasize on that message. A pause is to speech with what a comma is to prose. A pause at the wrong place may lead to miscommunication. And for example, the difference between fruit tree and fruit trees is vast. Fruit tree, fruit trees. So that is how, if you are putting the pause at the wrong place, it will change the entire meaning of the message. The entire communication may go wrong. You may end up with miscommunication. So make sure you do not use the wrong pauses. It is better not to use the pause rather than using it at a wrong place. So, this intonation, pitch, all these things are required to be used very appropriately, because see, these are something which will help the people to understand the context of that message. And if they are used at wrong place, at wrong timing, it will lead to miscommunication among the team members. So it is advisable that people always use the communication properly, and they use this stress, they use these intonations, pauses properly and at the right place. Fifth is volume variation. The speaker should adjust the volume of his voice depending on the size of audience. If you have a large gathering, you may have to raise your voice. But if you have limited audience, let's say only 4 to 5 people are there, you're sitting in a small room, you have to speak according to that. So you should know how to adjust your volume, seeing the size, seeing the context of the message, seeing the importance of the message. Larger the audience, louder the voice should be. Volume variation make the speech effective. This volume variation is something which is going to make your message effectively delivered to the persons, effectively delivered to the people. Changing from loud to soft and from soft to loud have the desired effect. Whenever you are speaking softly, whenever you are raising your voice, it have a desired effect on the mind of the people, on the mind of the person to whom you are speaking. So it is very important that you use the right tone, you use the right pitch and the right volume when you are communicating with the other person. Because see, when we are communicating, what we need to understand is communication is not just about saying, it is about making other person understand what we are saying, right? So when we want the other person to understand what we are saying, we have to we ourselves have to understand that what pitch, what volume is required. That is why we say it, the communication looks to be very simple, it looks to be very easy, but if we talk about in detail, it is a very vast topic. It is very important to understand each and every aspect of the communication when you want to be an effective speaker, when you want to be a person whose message is easily understood by the people, who conveys the message effectively and efficiently, leaving the good impression in the mind of other person. So that is why we say that person has to be an effective and a good listener. Now with this, we have come to the end of the session. There are few more topics which we are going to, like if we talk about paralanguage more, then there is one more thing, that is mixed signals and overall impressions. So these are the two things which we are going to discuss in the next session of advanced business communication. Along with that, we will also discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of paralanguage. Because see, paralanguage is something which you are using when you're speaking the words. When you're speaking, that time you use these things. And if you're not using these things appropriately, if you're not using the paralanguage properly, it may convey wrong result in the mind of people. It may lead to miscommunication also. So it is very important to understand these basics of non-verbal communication, because as I have been telling you since beginning, that non-verbal communication commutes to 55% of the message which you are sending, which you are speaking. You know, when a speaker comes in front of us, we do not just listen to what words he's speaking. We just observe his body language. We just see his facial expression. We just look at that person. And that is why it is important to work on your body language also. So with this, we have come to the end of the session. We will have the next session at 4 o'clock. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day.